back supporting him. But let me say that entrepreneurship is a bug, which catches all of us at some time or the other. For four of our, stars, it has caught them, reasonably early in their lives. So these four stars, as we know, are Ashish, Jignesh, Pradeep, and Jan. And of course, the fifth star is Nikhil. Uh, Nikhil has put together a really nice show where we'll have a lot of learnings from their wonderful stories, how they went about it, how they got their family's support, what were their struggles, and so on and so forth. I have a feeling more than half of our Rotarians will like to become entrepreneurs after today's program. The age doesn't matter, whether you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, whatever. Age doesn't matter. You can still be an entrepreneur. And from my side, I can tell you that I'm available for any mentoring and coaching that any one of the potential entrepreneurs may need. But let me not steal the thunder of Nikhil. Over to you and all your four stars. All the best, Nikhil.
Thanks, Raman. And let me begin by a warm welcome to Ashish, Jan, Jignesh, and Pradeep, who are with us today. And it's really interesting to kind of talk to them. And the idea would be to learn from their experiences, or rather, allow them to share their experiences in front of such a warm and a conducive gathering. As someone said, I think it was Walt Disney. Walt Disney said long time back that all our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. And he was probably one of the early entrepreneurs who made it really big. And we all know where Disney is today. We talk about the Steve Jobs, etc., etc. But who knows? Amongst us, probably is sitting the next Steve Jobs, or his kinds. So without much ado, I will move on, and I'll ask questions to these four people, and I'll juggle questions between them. And what I promise the audience today is that at the end, it will not be a very boring session of what I did and what I think you should do. But we'll also see the funny side of things, and we'll also get them to share what defines them as people. So my only request to all these four is, I know there's a lot of experience that you would have to share, and there are so many memories, good, bad. There are so many emotions that are involved. My request would be to keep your answers small, apply a little brevity, so that we can have more questions and probably understand each other much better. So let me start with, it's a common question, and I'll start with Ashish because A comes alphabetically first. So what really got you started on this journey of entrepreneurship? Why take the plunge?
So that's an interesting question. And whenever I speak, this is the first question asked, that after working for 15 years as chief investment officer, managing good amount of money, settled life, why? So the 2-3 reasons. First is it's in the blood. Comes from Marwadi family, always wanted to do something on my own. Second, as I was running my job, I always saw an opportunity that there is a need of money by everyone. And there is a market which is opening up. There is a people who are taking technology as a embarrassing technologies to do their things. Like my father started using Facebook, my WhatsApp became so prominent, so popular, and everybody was using. So it created an opportunity for us to say that how can you really build a business around providing funds to the customers. How can you really build a small ticket large volume businesses, tech driven, and create a disruption. And that's what was the first step which came in mind, saying that there is an opportunity, there is a market which is unexplored, and you could be the one who can build this out. And that's what the journey which we started on. Always had a co-founder, Akshay, who was with me in the journey. When we started, we found another crazy investor also who said that, okay, I'll put some money also. Then there was no backing out. Because when you see that there is a people who believe in you, and there is a concept which time has arrived, you just take that step. Like there is a saying that if you have not tried, you will definitely fail. If you try, there might be a chance that you might fail. So that was the key reason why I took this plunge, moved out of my comfort zone, and said that let me live this life. Let me try to build something which can make a difference.
Thanks, Ashish. And I think it is straight from a strategy playbook that you assess the market and then see where is the gap and then go right into it. So I think it was a very, very well thought of decision, more practical than emotional, as I gather from you. So, Jignesh, would you have similar thoughts or something different was the trigger for you?
As he said that, Ashish said that, it's in the blood. Obviously, my generations to generation, it was not in blood, but something which I, gathered from my mentors during my engineering days, which made me to, let's jump into this thing. So during my engineering days, actually, I got selected by one of the top IT company, which was Hewlett Packard at that time, as a software engineer. And my parents and my whole family, you can say generation, were against the business. So that was a very funny incident when my family friend and my real brother invested in our startup. It was the first startup. Currently I'm into the second startup. So in that startup they invested, but I didn't tell my parents that I have started it for at least 6 months. And I started in my 8th semester of engineering days as a you can say internship kind of things. So over there it started, but then it failed. I couldn't do it, and it was a, you can say, failure startup from my side. And I moved into, after that, as an MBA. I did my MBA into sales and marketing. Then in second year of MBA, again I had that, but once it's कि एक बार खून का वो चस्का लग गया, then yeah, you can't have it that even if you are failed, you want to have it that, okay, I learned something, that how not to fail, so that I can do better in my next startup. So that's what again started jumping into various ideas. And in 2012 I had idea, but I was not having funding and I was not having the healthcare aspect into me. So worked for 6-7 years in Maruti Suzuki, and again got an opportunity in collaboration with IIT Hyderabad, where I could learn what is healthcare business model. And with the support of funding, we got the funding grant also. So based on that, again jumped and started the startup in 2019. So that was ups and down, and now back to business again.
Very surprising to hear that family was not supporting. I thought Jignesh Patel, matlab, whole khandan must be behind you to start a business. And it sounds more like a business ka kida rather than chaska. So, starting very early in life, I think it's a fantastic way to take it off. So, Jayant, what would your thoughts would be on this? I mean, was it similar? Was it different? Or was it somewhere in between?
So I think the first thing is that I'm probably the first one in my family who's ventured out of the services in a way, working for somebody else, because we come from a family of engineers and doctors, and a lot of these things were absolutely new. I've had a couple of attempts in the past, which I'm not going to go back to because they're quite far in the back in the past. But for me, I think the drivers were slightly different. While Ashish talked about a disruptive idea, which is, I know about it, so I know it's a great idea. And I heard Jignesh, my motivation came from something else. The companies that I worked for, and I would have changed from one company to the other if I had found the perfect balance between how people were treated. So my motivation is, since I come from a process and technology background, and the 3 pillars that I always focused on were the people, process, and technology, when the people were not in my sphere of influence. And I didn't have that sphere of influence. The ability to create that, to go out and build the kind of company that I would like to work for, was my motivation. So it's a very simple motivation, because there are incidents, and I think this is going to be a public video, so I may not get into too much of that detail. But the way some of the employees were managed in my previous company, in terms of the respect that you should have for them, I didn't see that. And I said, this is not what I want to be. So that was primarily my motivation for saying that, what do I start? It's a services company, IT services, but I want to build it the way I want to build it. And interestingly, I read that Satya Nadella, I think, said that Microsoft is a platform that allows him to do what he wants to do in the way he wants to do it. So very, very similar story.
You're very different, Jayant, to actually try to be the boss and put it in such a nice way to say that I wanted to be the boss and that's why I did it, and probably help people along the way and try and be not the factor for people changing jobs, because usually people don't change jobs, they change bosses. So a very, very fresh take on this. So coming to you, Pradeep, what would your thoughts on this would be? I mean, we have had a longish chat before this, and it was very interesting to know that how you transversed yourself from a series of companies and doing something for the company and then coming on to doing something on your own. But what is it that actually made you get into entrepreneurship?
Yeah, Nikhil, that's my background is not like Ashish or Jignesh. They have the family business and they always think about everything about business at family. Actually, I came from the different background. It's education background. My parents were teachers, and there is a motivation to learn something and do something for the society. That's the learning. But my parent always asking me to go into teaching, but I don't want it to be teaching because I used to see that's okay. What is happens in teachers' family and those things. I wanted to be something different. Through college life, it's through campus I got into HP. But Jignesh told us, okay, he also got a Hewlett Packard offer. So my first company was a Hewlett Packard. I joined in US. After some time, they gave me opportunity to start the design center in Malaysia. I moved to Malaysia, started the design center. The similar kind of opportunity I got multiple times. I came to India, they gave a responsibility to start another design center. That way, 2-3 times I started design centers for the multinational companies from scratch. I learned a lot of things, but that time there was a backing from the company. There's a financial backing was there, the work backing was there, and the processes, everything was there. I learned a lot of things there. And then I thought about that is okay, I'm doing this for the different companies. Why not we should be trying this? So while I was doing a job, I started one company with few of my friends, with my wife's name. And that 4 or 5 years I did, and that got a good success, and that company got acquired by one of another multinational company. And then I thought about this, okay, I can do it myself own. And then I started two new startups. That's why that is, instead of working for somebody, it's okay, I can generate the jobs for people, and I can be a owner for the company. And that's why my journey started.
Thanks, Pradeep. You give a different definition to the whole saying of there is a woman behind a successful man. I mean, starting the company in your wife's name was, I think, a masterstroke. So that was a nice one. So moving on along this journey, I feel we've got a very good, a very good cohort of people. Some of them who are with their families into business, and some of them are absolutely non-business oriented family-wise, and then getting into it. So my question would be to you, Jayant. I mean, how did you manage to convince the family about the decision? Was it simple or was it a little different?
Interesting question. I don't think I ever managed to fully convince. Not really. We don't want to go down that path. But I think what Mira has done is that she's just stood up and being counted. Every time I've done something like this, she has just taken over the reins of making sure that there is there's bread on our table, and I've gone and fiddled around with ideas. So this time it seems to have worked okay, doing all right as a services company. So I think the conviction was more in terms of, she said, okay, ultimately, after all the discussion and all, and goes back and forth, ultimately she says, okay, you've got support, and that's it. And so it just opens up the mind to say that you've got support, and that's okay. We can, it's not the first time I failed, so it's not something that scares me anymore.
Very, very wise and kind of you to, give credit. And I think it's a very safe play also. When in doubt, always give the credit to the spouse. It makes life easier, just on the lighter side. But Pradeep, yours is a more interesting case. You started a company in your wife's name. And how did that go? I mean, afterwards, I believe you started another company in your wife's, and now she manages that. So would you count that as a support, or would you count that as balancing your risks?
Actually, the family support is very, very important for whatever you do. So when I started first company, because before that I was a country head and a managing director for one of a multinational company, and getting a handsome salary, a very cool life. Getting out of that and starting something, it is always a risk. So we had a very candid discussion at a family. So I convinced her that it's okay. These are the things we have to do it in a family, and it's enough fund I can keep it for those things, and then we can take a risk. And then we said, okay, that's without that also we can take a risk, but there was 100% support from her. Actually then I took that risk, but before that I'll tell you one thing. There is when I was doing a job, when I moved from US to India, that time my wife was also doing a job. So she was having the government job, and also she qualified for the MPSC, that is for class 2 position. But because of kids' responsibility, she sacrificed her career. And always we thought about getting kids education in India, for at least for the high school level, and then they can go for a higher education outside India wherever they can. The exactly same thing happened. That is they completed the schooling here in India, and both are went to US for higher education. Then I thought that's okay. That's my wife has sacrificed her career, and now I'm busy in my startup. So what she will be doing at home? Then I took a 6 months break from my company, and then I started uh, thought about starting something for her. There was a thought in mind that is we should do something in 2 areas. One, either in education or in a healthcare. So we studied that for almost for 3-4 months, and then we jumped to the conclusion that healthcare is the best field. That is, we can do better service for society, and at the same time she will be busy. The main motivation was she should be busy running something, and also that the mind will be occupied somewhere. And we started this diagnostic center. It's a full-fledged diagnostic center with CT scan, well advanced CT scan, and then all kind of the facilities, mammography, sonography, OPG, the pathology, everything. And that was started 2 years back. And as I mentioned, I took a 6 months break to set up everything and train her how to manage the business. She is well qualified. She was doing a lot of things at home, and doing it for some societies also. But so she picked up very fast, and now it's within less than 2 years. Now that business is doing extremely good, and she's managing everything. I just go once or twice in a week to see that all the processes and everything is followed or not. That's all credit goes to her. She's extremely doing well. I never thought about this. She'll be doing that.
Great.
That good.
Very, very good to hear. although diagnostic centers doing very well is not actually good news for everyone else.
That's
So,
true. Yeah.
but Jignesh, you are also into healthcare industry.
Very good in the sense that is what I say. That's now it's the Dr. Kazi was saying that is okay, CT scan is the main test for the COVID. Now, what I can tell you that is we are giving a best of the best service in that area, and within 2 years, I can proudly say that we are the #1 diagnostic center in that area. We never behind the money. It's we want to give a better service to the patients and the referring doctors, so that the people should trust us. That is you will get the right results in particular diagnostics.
Thanks, Pradeep. So Jignesh,
That's
you are
what
also
we do,
into healthcare. So I mean, coming back to you with the same question, you mentioned that your family was not with you when you started your, venture back in the 8th semester. So how did you eventually manage to turn them over, or did you just say that let's get on with it, baad mein dekh lenge?
So in the first startup, obviously, the easiest part was that my brother and family friend invested money, and I was the working partner, and it was again a service industry. So at the time, it was not a healthcare. So after 6 months or so, I had to inform to my parents saying that I'm not joining HP as a software engineer, and I'm still in Baroda. So it was the place of Baroda, and my job was in Bangalore. So within 6 months, it was kind of somehow it worked out well. We started generating revenue, and we had I was the first employee, and then all of a sudden we had around at least 6 to 7 employees within 6 months. So I just invited my parents to the office, and I just showed them that this is what we are doing, this is where we reached here, and the revenue is generated. So that they kind of convinced that okay, you are making money, so we don't have to worry, so you can continue. But in the second startup, which that was the difficult one, wherein I was earning handsome money, where I was working with Maruti Suzuki, and I had to quit all of a sudden. And at the same time, the child who was about to come after 1 or 2 months, when I planned to resign from the company, and so my salary was coming down from, you can say, 2 lakh to 50,000 rupees as part of the stipend amount, which I was going to get it from IIT Hyderabad. So that was the tough. So I took it step by step. First, I did it a lot of analysis, whether this is going to be the calculated risk, whether it is going to be a good or not. So I did a lot of SWOT analysis. I consulted couple of my mentors with those SWOT analysis, and based on that, I first got convinced that this is the right opportunity and right time that I should get into that thing. Then I started convincing my wife, took her into confidence that give me 2 years of window in case I'm able to do something with investment, wherein I'm not expecting investment from my family, and in case I'm able to get investment from the market, and then if I'm able to do it, so I'll be able to take it forward. Obviously, parents didn't convince at that time, and then I had to take a risk that okay, my wife is convinced and parents were half convinced, so I took it from there. And obviously, as Jayant sir said, that that it is always going to be that we cannot convince them totally till the point you reach at one stage. So it's kind of that same situation. But yeah, you have to be convinced, and that is what I am. So taking the journey in that direction.
Great, nice to know. So Ashish, was it similar for you, or was it very easy? I mean, once you declared your intent, then did it come easy, or you had to do some heavy lifting for convincing people that yeah, you can take it on?
So of course, it was a slow process in my case. Just like Jayant said, everybody said, it took us almost 3 to 6 months to come up the plan, to start thinking about from various angles. 3-4 things stood out. One, Tina was always supportive. She said that it is one life, you want to try, you should try. There is no harm in it. And of course, she was not aware of what she was signing in for. The life became really crazy for the first 2 years when the traveling was a nightmare. I used to travel a lot in the first 2 years. be it for raising funds, for first set of customers, for doing deals, etc. So it was really the first 2 years were has its own challenges. Not that challenges has gone down, but Tina really supported in that entire period. And in the initial phase, it was easier to convince purely because of the fact that we have seen running businesses on both sides, from her side and from my side. Our parents did run the businesses, so it was easier to do that piece. Convincing parents, etc., was you can say that was a little bit again same thing, that they were neutral. The only questions which keep coming back, that if you have such a good job, etc., why you want to take a plunge and why you want to take a risk out there. But at the end, it all boils down to saying that if there is an idea, if there is a way to really build something, leave legacies, uh, and that's what really at the end of the day ticked off the box. And I think then the rest, as you say, it's just a history, and we continue to build on build the company to the next level. Uh, and one more thing I will say, that like my parents and my Miss Tina both always means it was never a question of survival which was there on the table. So in that sense, we always ensured that I always had that philosophy that you should earn as much as possible, but you should spend within whatever you earn, so that you always have. It should not be that your spending should run past your earnings, but always focus on earning more, so that you can also spend more, but always keep the spending below your earnings. And that ethos really worked, where savings were there for me to be not worried about for next 2-3 years. And
These are really learnings of nuggets of gold that you're sharing.
Yeah,
So thanks for this.
for a minute. We are having such a nice discussion, and so I would request members to allow us to extend the meeting by 10 to 15 minutes if there are questions around later on. Is that okay, everyone? Yeah, so no comments. Okay, go ahead, Nikhil.
So we go on till 7:45.
so, like, I'll just add to this.
Outer limit, yeah.
When I was taking this plunge of starting the company, and we used to have these discussions very often. Maybe the weekends used to go into sometimes doing the discussions. That on one of the weekend, I really went down to Jaipur to raise the money, and that was like a shocker from an investment world perspective, where on Friday night the world just shut shop, and Saturday Sundays normally you don't work. And that was the first glimmer when I and Tina had a discussion around the point, saying that is this the way the life will change? But those are the things which always you talk, and you at the end of the day you come back and say that look, this is at the end of the day something, there is an opportunity, and it's always that every one of us who are in jobs would like to become an entrepreneur. It's always the first step which you fear not to take, which holds us back. Once you take that first step, then the life again becomes a journey, a marathon. But that first step and support in that first step is very critical. And I believe no one can do without the support from the family, from wife, from well-wishers.
Thanks. So all to say it in a small
Nikhil, can I
word.
just can I just add one thing?
Yes, please.
Ultimately, if there is a wall behind you, there is only one way, which is forward. So you need that wall, whether it is a spouse, or it is a parent, or it is an idea, and it is funds, or something that you need, which is standing behind you, because then you're left with only one direction you can go in.
Dar ke aage jeet hai. I think that sums it up well. Some add. So we'll split up the questions now, because we are also short of time. So Ashish and Pradeep, I would like to know that before you started the thing, Pradeep, you're already doing similar things for someone else, and then you started your own. And Ashish, of course, you had strategized it well, you had thought about it. and then you. So I would like you to go for answering about what are the challenges that you foresaw. You saw that this is going to be a challenge, and how did you think about mitigating them or getting over them? And to Jignesh and Jayant, I would like to ask that what was it that took you by surprise? That you started on your journey, you never thought it will happen like this, and what was it that took you by surprise? I hope it is neither demonetization or this COVID. Other than this, anything is welcome for these answers. So Ashish, we could start with you.
So when we started early salary, I think there were many things were on the mind. Like one was there was no market. It was not a Me Too product that somebody else was ICICI Bank or HDFC Bank was selling, and we were just coming and trying to execute it better, faster. The product itself was not there. Nobody has done a 8,000 rupee loan to anybody on a mobile phone. And at that point in time, giving loans on a mobile application itself was unheard of. So it has its own challenges, but one thing which was very clear in our mind was that the time has arrived for the mobile technology, and you need to just embrace it and be the first one to become a large player. I would say that the challenges came every day, and it was different. I would not say that it was something which we foresaw or did not foresee. Like, I'll give you an example. When we were raising our first fund, we thought that we will take 6 months to raise our the second round of funds. It took us 18 months. And in that 18 months, actually, when I look back, was the golden period, because it actually took out all the fat from the company, took out and made us really look at each and every penny which we had to ensure that we can we build a business in a scalable way without raising a lot of money. And similarly, like, the people came to help us from all the corners, be it our customers. Like, I'll give you an example. When we had our first customer, he actually called us and said that, look, your app has a bug. I need a money. You need to change this particular table and get us the money. So we had that kind of a passionate, the early movers, the customers from all the way. Now today we have customers where they are it's like you will have all kind of ability to do this piece. So in this journey, what we always envisage that one thing which will make a difference in running a company from a small company to a large company is that how do you really build the culture and the team. And that is where we focused a lot, the kind of early team which we have, the kind of people who really came and worked with us, the kind of autonomy which the team should have, what kind of culture you built it, what kind of risk management. At the end of the day, we are in business of while we say we are in a business of lending, but actually we are in a business of collections. We are in a business of really figuring out that whatever money is going out will come back or not, what kind of service you can provide, what kind of does the customer will trust you next time when he comes to borrow from you. And these things are the critical pillars on which the company got built today. Like 250-member team working from home is actually able to give money, collect money digitally, and which itself is a big achievement.
Great. Pradeep, how about you? How did you, foresee and stall the challenges that you thought would happen in your enterprise?
Yeah, so there are many challenges. Actually, I'm in the semiconductor industry. It is a very niche technology, and this technology is changing. Initially, it was changing for every 2 years. Now, over the period, it is from 2 years to now it's every 6 months. A lot of changes are happening. So when I was in the multinational company, we always used to see that's okay. There are a lot of things we can do than what we are doing existing the product in the companies. But in the big companies, there are the portfolios, there are the charters, there are roadmaps. You cannot do outside that. Even though if you have the lot of good ideas, but because of the limitations or because of the focus or the roadmap as a company has decided, you cannot do that. But that was the main thing, that is to start something which is we can serve better, or we can do something better solution for the existing solution, for our existing problems. We can do better way. So that was the main thing. Initially, when we started that, uh, uh, the problem that is for the data center solutions, for uh, uh, the artificial intelligence and deep learning, these are the new area that is happening. So we started something in that area. After 6 months, we initially we thought about we'll start our own with self-funded. After 6 months, we got to know that's okay. Whatever saving we have done, so that is drying now, and we are not getting any success. And whatever solution we built, when we used to go and present to the some companies, and always all the big companies were doing that. It's, I'll quote few of the, I don't want to quote the names, but because definitely this will be recorded. We had a very good solutions for few problems, and we went to a few big companies in a multinational companies and showed them that this is the solution we are building that. And then they used to come up with a better solution after few months. So we spend around 6-8 months doing that. Then we realized that's okay, we cannot do that, because we have limitations on fund, we have limitations on resources, and also there is some of the areas lack of knowledge also. Because of that, we thought about this, okay, instead of doing our own, we should have some funding. We started looking for the venture capitalists. And then during that period, we got to know that the one of the startup, another startup, they were also trying to do the similar kind of things, but they don't have the solution, but they have funding. They had a funding. Then we decided to merge with them. So they had around 25 million plus funding, and we merged together and started building the product. In 2 years, we have our own product. Now we are showing the product to the different companies, and some of the ideas what we thought, so we are doing definitely better than that. And definitely, I think we again, that's after 2 years, whatever funding we had, so we dried that all the fundings. We are looking for a Series B, or maybe we are looking for some acquisitions. So that kind of a rule that's going to be there. There's a lot of challenges actually. The spending you have to control, you have to take a decisions. It's yeah, while hiring, there is in a multinational companies, you have to you used to pay a lot of money, but now we have limitations. You cannot pay that, but at the same time, you have to retain people while paying less to them than the multinational companies. So we have to motivate them and get the work done. When they are in a multinational companies, they work only 8 hours. In a startup, they have to work 15, 16 hours a day. So that is a challenge always there. And we somehow we are managing it very well.
Super. So, Jignesh, anything surprised you when you started out? Something took you by surprise?
Not by surprise in the sense, but yeah, it was a step-by-step process where, you know, after MBA, almost 3-4 years, obviously I got settled down. And then again, in all the things in 2015-16, again, that hunger started coming back, that, you know, need to start something. So I was always looking for ideas, where to do, what to do, and was discussing with various people. And then 2018, I was having two different things. One was another offer from the multinational company, and another opportunity to do whether to start with this entrepreneurial journey or not. So at that time, it was kind of calculated things happened. Then once, so left the company, and 2018 started in the field of entrepreneur. But obviously, once you start the journey, so you can say a lot many things come on the table which you never expected. So entrepreneurial journey is like that, you know, things are lot many unpredictable. What happens next, what is going to happen in next month? So every day you are going to get new challenges, then you have to solve it. Then next challenges are in the hand, some good surprises, some bad surprises. So it was it's I would say it's a bumpy ride, and at least for a couple of years till the time you are get settled down in terms of your segments, your idea get accepted in the market, either be it a service or be it a product. So once that so we are in the mid year, you can say second year. So maybe another 1 year or so that passes away. At that time we'll have less of surprises from maybe from the business side.
Good luck with that. So moving to Jayant, and Jayant, I mean, I thought the discussion is getting very heavy, serious, and although it's got some flavor. So any moment you remember which gave you absolute, laughter or some complete joy that you felt, wow, man, I mean, I never thought this will happen. Any moment like that, Jayant, in your journey?
Not, I don't think so much from the work perspective. But just to add to just a little point to what I just heard, I think Pradeep probably said it the best too, in terms of the challenges of a startup, retention, perception of the brand. But I think one of the things that I did realize was that there is a contribution of, so where you are on the knowledge value chain decides the contribution to scale. And for the ability to scale, you actually have to dumb down some of your offerings and to be able to build that scale. So that was one of the interesting challenges, that finding and retaining the right people, transferring knowledge, ensuring that you can get scale with very specialized services is a challenge. You bring in offerings that are a little less weighty, but have more contribution to scale because they're easier to do and you can increase volume. The funny thing is that things seem to have worked. I mean, so that's probably the funniest part of this. So not really. Otherwise, joy comes from just getting good stuff across the line, getting a client to say that they're happy. I mean, that's joy almost on a daily basis.
So I appreciate your modesty, Jayant, here. And Ashish, any moment that made you feel that, okay, fine, I mean, fine, this is great, and I'm very happy with what I've done?
I think every day you make that 1% incremental to what you want to achieve as your dream. So like, just to take an example, today we had our annual operating plan meeting, and 2 years back when we were doing this kind of meeting, we were thinking of, let's say, X crores to do a business. Today we think of 10X of that number, and every day gives you a joy of having building a new product, building something, your baby is growing up. That joy is always there. Many times I get asked a question that, are there times when you really felt कि यार अब तो बस खत्म हो गया है? But to be honest, never had that kind of a thing, because of the simple fact that you become inherently so optimistic that you always want to fight. You always want to say that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and it is not of the incoming train, and you really just keep on fighting today so that you can fight tomorrow again. Every day, to be honest, means every day gives more joy than what it gave last time. Like when we raised Series B, we thought that chalo, now we are arrived and now life is settled. But when we went to raise Series C, it took longer time, and then you realize that the journey is not over. When you go and build something, you always have 2 more products to build, and so this journey continues, and every day is joyous in that sense. Just on your last thing which you asked, and there were moments of laughter also. So like, I'll give you a story. When we were raising our funds, one of the investor came and told us that I want to know this information. I said, I can't give you. He said that, yeah, I'm going to come on your board, so I should have it, which means that he is going to invest. And so we gave the information and we chatted for 2 days. And after that, he came back and told us that, shit, I didn't realize that I don't have an investment committee approvals internally, and sorry, I can't invest. And you suddenly go from the cloud 9 and suddenly you are back to running the shows and the road shows and back there. and either you can laugh on it or you can cry on it. And we decided to laugh on it and said that let's go and try to raise more, try to find more things. And like I was saying, many of these instances, when you look back, you realize that they were the defining moment of the company. They actually made you what you are today.
I think optimism is the key, as you mentioned. Every day the light at the end of the tunnel, and to chase that.
Absolutely.
So Jignesh, any lighter moments in your experience?
Not per se lighter experience, lighter moments, but still, things are very, very, you can say, bumpy ride. But yeah, recently, when the beginning of the new year, when we got the first approval from the government side, so that's one thing. Yeah, but and then all of a sudden, we had multiple different situations. So if I say so, last, or you can say first heavy lockdown. So all of a sudden, all the hospitals or clinics were shut down, and we were hoping that we are being a mobile vaccination service provider, we will get a good opportunity to go into the field. So all of a sudden, we got a jolt from PCMC authority saying that you can't do it. We are not going to allow you to start your services, because no other doctors are allowing to do that thing, because their incomes are going to affect it. So that was very, very pretty vague, very, very bad statements, because some of the doctors have complained that they are conducting vaccination camp in our kind of community where we used to get children to get vaccinated at our clinics. So that was kind of jolt, and at the same time we used to laugh that, yeah, what to do in this situation. And then we kind of almost a month we had to sit down, but we started fighting, approaching various authorities, go live on Twitters, approaching politicians and back and forth. But somehow we were in PCMC, so we were stopped from PCMC to operate, but PMC gave us a green signal that you go on, you conduct vaccination camps in our area, we are not going to stop you. So that was kind of almost that kind of situation ran for almost 2 to 3 months. And then after some fight, PCMC, one of the persons said that, if anything happens, I'm going to see you behind bars, because you are not allowed and all these things. Then I go very, very aggressive and said that I'm done with you now. In case you get any complaint or anything, you are free to do anything, whichever you want to do. Because when we started this journey in 2019, we were the only one who were following all the medical compliances, because we hired the best medical legal doctor, who is Dr. Jayant Navrange, and he did all the work. So we were knowing that we are doing absolutely on this thing, but he was kind of asking for bribes and all these things. So he was kind of threatening. But then I took a stand that now we are going all out. So but that was the day, and that was the moment. Then we started, and after that he never came back to us saying that you can't do it. So that was kind of
to interrupt, Nikhil, leave some time for some questions from our very, very nice and patient audience. I think many of them want to become entrepreneurs also. So please consider that.
Yeah, of course. And maybe after this final question, I'll open it to them. So this is taking on, or taking it further. So from all of you, I want to know, what is one advice to, budding entrepreneurs? What is it that they should not do? Every talk, people generally have a question that, what is it that you should do if you want to become an entrepreneur? Kya kare ho, ye mat, main janna chahta hu, or rather it would be better if you could share, what is it that you should not do? This is not to be done.
India wants to know.
Not to worry.
One thing is, you should not jump on the field without planning. So which obviously we did it, did all these things, but there were tools which we were not knowing. After also doing many things which we came to know throughout our journey, like one was business canvas model. That was one thing. Second thing was talking to customer. After our completion of almost, you can say, 6 to 8 months, when we had a chance to interact with one of the accelerator workshop program which was ran by Indian government. At that time, we were asked to interact with almost, you can say, 50 to 100 customers from different segments, despite they were being customers. So we came out lot many things, and we changed our kind of many aspects. We changed our communications, we changed our business segments, we added more segments. So that's two things which I would suggest. Not to jump without talking to customers or without proper little bit planning.
I have only one piece of advice. Don't set a timeline. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, we'll see. But if you set a timeline, you're already setting yourself up for that. You say that if it doesn't work within so and so period, I can always go back. You can't go back.
Good one. Very good.
Yeah, it's a journey always forward.
Also, my advice would be that do it for the right reasons. Don't do it for money. Don't do it for because you want to you saw somebody else doing it. Don't do it because you don't like your current boss, because the journey is very long. Ups and downs are there, and if you have not done this with your heart in it, it will be just because, and it's very lonely. So it is not a journey which where you can go out, come back, because at the end of the day, you will be putting a lot of your time, efforts, and which is and success rates has its own. We know the success rates. So the biggest thing why people don't succeed is purely because they do it for wrong reasons. If you do it for right reasons, you want to make a difference. You are ready for that grind. You are ready, saying not earning for 5 years. Then entrepreneurship makes a lot of sense. It is most satisfying things which you can do in life.
Pradeep, anything from you? And while Pradeep answers this, I'll request anyone who has any specific queries to type in the chat. That way we'll save time, and Pradeep can answer the previous one also.
Yeah, actually, the one advice I'll tell you, that's okay. You don't follow anybody. Follow your mind. If you have an idea, then you should have your own idea. Suppose somebody is doing that, somebody is doing a startup. Oh, I also want to do it because I'm better than that. Don't think that way. Think you should have your own idea. And once you started that, don't think negative. Don't worry about that. You will give a result. You will get the result.
Thanks all of you. And so we'll take on some audience questions now. So there is this from Rajiv. He says that what is the main difference between how managers think versus how entrepreneurs think? So Jignesh, would you like to take this?
Yeah, so there is always a different perspective. So in my team, I have different people who have, as a entrepreneur, you will have a vision which you are going to see after 2 or 3 years. And when it comes to your manager, they will, again, it depends on team to team, but they will have a very short term that, okay, let me do it. Then second thing is, you want to, you have a typical philosophy for which you have started this dream, or you can say this journey. And managers or the people who are working for you, they will have different mindsets. So we have to always correct them. This is the philosophy for which we have started. So we cannot deviate from that journey. That's what from my side.
Thanks, Jignesh. And the next is from Priyanka. Priyanka is asking, what is the biggest challenge for an aspiring woman entrepreneur, and how to overcome it? So, Jayant, would you like to go for this?
I don't have the experience or the knowledge to be able to talk about that. I can just talk about generally about the journey. I know there's a different set of challenges that women face, and I think that might be a question better answered by somebody who's gone down that path.
Pradeep, how about you? Since you started a venture for the wife, so probably you can answer this better.
Actually, that's shouldn't be discriminated. It's a male or female. You should have your own idea, and you do the due diligence what you want to do that, and definitely things will be automatically set in the right direction. Don't think there's a Priyanka, there is you are a female and you have challenges. Think that it's okay. I can do that. Definitely, it will happen.
There's a question from Raman himself, probably Raman. So he says that what's a good age for entrepreneurship? So Ashish, I think you should take this on. What's a good age for entrepreneurship?
So Raman himself answered it when he opened, whether it is 30, whether it is 50, whether it is 80, there is no age for being an entrepreneur. So I think it is all in your mind. How do you really build it? There is a fine balance between experience versus youth, and you can always find that. So like there are people like, let's say, Sachin Bansal, who started at a much early age and built the Flipkart out there. But there are people who started in their late 50s, 60s, went on to build large enterprise based on their experience, based on the sectors where they come from. So like let's say in my case, I spent 15 years before starting early salary. Similarly, I know a friend of mine who actually started a company after he retired and built up a very thriving organization. So I don't think it's about the age, it is all about the attitude, and it's all about that energy which is needed to do it. If you do it for right reasons, you will always build out on the top of your experience, top of your energy and your vision. If you have a vision, you will build it out.
Thank you, Ashish.
Thanks, Ashish. So we are almost out of time, but I just see a question from
Lot
the
of questions.
president.
Do
Lot of questions.
we want to
So-
extend it further, friends?
We can do it in next 3-4 minutes. We can do it now.
Yeah, next 3-4 minutes.
Yeah. So let's take the question from the president himself. So do you have to keep your pivot your idea completely, or keep refining it? Keep stable on the one great idea that you've got, or keep developing it. So Pradeep, would you like to answer this?
Actually, when you start, it's definitely you'll start with some idea. But while doing that, you'll come to know that okay, you can do something better, or this will not work. But definitely you have to refine the ideas and work on that. Sometimes, many times it happens, you start with something and end up with something different.
Like there's a saying, Mike Tyson said that you think you have an idea till the time you get punched on your face. So it's like the same thing. When we started, you think that you built an awesome product idea and everybody will jump to buy it. It actually took us 7 days to find our first customer. So you pivot, you iterate every day. So like when COVID hit us, we actually came up with the 2 new product ideas and said that why don't we use this time to expand our horizon, expand our markets. We come back and say that how can we really become much more resilient? How can you really become from a monoline to multi-line? Is the business is built, and every one of you who has been in the businesses has started with a monoline, and over a period of time you go multi-channel, multi-product, multi-lines, because that's the only way you can build a sustainable businesses in a long run. And the businesses where you have a large pipeline. If you have a single product, single bet, very few succeed in a single bet. Like even if you look at Apple, they have so many bets they have put it. So it's a evolution. It's a process which you need to go through. If you stuck with your first idea, it is bound to fail at some point in time.
We are running out of time.
Suggesting the last question we taken, this Rakesh has asked a very interesting question.
If somebody can also answer Meher's second question, because otherwise she'll never forgive me.
Yeah, Meher.
So let's go with Meher's question. As someone who gets multiple ideas, how do you know which is the one to take a risk on? Yeah, Jen? Why?
No, I'm not answering. I'm not answering that.
Hey, this is Praveen. Hey, this is Praveen. I can say that to Meher. She is young, so Meher, I started medical transcription business 20 years ago, 2 decades now in the US. Right after I received a pink slip, despite my great performance and the sales, but just because geographically I was in a different place, and there was a .com burst. 9/11 had happened, so. There were, lots of problems. 2 young kids. Then I was only 2 years old. Rishika, 5 years old. $1,000 just the insurance payment, monthly premium, right? then I said to myself, okay, that's it. Though I did very well, performance was great, but I still got, canned because I didn't have the control over my life. I said, that's it. I'm never going to work ever for anybody again. Whatever happens, if the problem happens, it's only because of me. I started doing this medical transcription. That was only possible solution that time for me. So you jump in. I had no idea what is to even quote pricing, what to go and tell the customer how much I'm going to charge you. I had no idea, nothing. But you know what? You learn. Every one of us, we have something in ourselves. We learn through our childhood, through our parents, through our friends. In somewhere we are always learning, picking up. We have enough intelligence to do that. The importance is taking the plunge. Because why? Because, we have only one life to live. No regrets. I should not be sitting at 80-year-old, armchair, rocking chair and think, oh, I should have given a try. Give a try. Trust in you. Believe in yourself. Just go for it. Don't worry what happens. Live today. Just jump. Things work out. Think positive.
Yep. Second question. Anyone wants to answer?
I'll just add to this point because it's a very interesting point, and if there is a budding entrepreneur, I should answer it. See, when you have 3 ideas, whichever makes you most uncomfortable, go for that. For 2 reasons. One is that, let's say today, if you want to start a K-12 because it's in the buzz, you are already lost out. Okay, because Beju's has already built a $20 billion company out there, and you are going to fight against it. So if it makes you more uncomfortable, something which is unused, go for it so that you can do it. Because all ideas are executable. It is once you start that take first step, you will always able to figure out what is the next step. It is more about, if the end game is clear, then your first step will define by your end game. It is not the other way around. Don't define your first step first and then think of end game. Think of end games and then start it, because at the end of the day, we all know that while we want to build something, it's at the end of the day is a business. Okay, so always think of the end games always in mind. Okay, and then start tracing your steps.
Great, thanks for all this. So the last question, ladies and gentlemen, we take it from Rakesh Bhargav, and he's got a very interesting question, but without letting your cats out of the bag, it was addressed to you, Ashish. So he says that, what is your next innovative idea? So I don't know whether you're going to share it or not, but why not? I mean, you can give us a glimpse.
So like I'll connect with the same last which Meher asked. Every day you get so many ideas there. So like I'll give you a piece of thing. Like today, if you look at it, the SME space is so much buzzing that there is just too much of the work can be done with the kirana shops. There is so much work can be done providing funding to the next layer of people. Like today, if a mazdoor or a blue collar wants some money, it's just impossible for him to get money even after having so much innovation, so much banking is there. How do you really build that next layer which can help you in reaching to the what we say the next 100 million customer? Is something which I really think always it would be my next idea, saying that how can I really build something for blue collar employees? How can you really build something where you provide an access of capital to the SMEs which needs money from 5 lakhs to 10 lakhs? Because without having a property, it's very tough to get a SME funding in India. So there is just too many ideas which are there in mind which can really work. But today our core focus is how do you really take the ship which is running to the next level, to the next orbit, to next speed.
Thanks Ashish, and thanks all of you.
Thanks
for being so honest,
Thanks,
so candid.
guys. Thanks,
and
guys.
I would like to end it just with a small quote from Matt Hancock, who says that entrepreneurship is not only about starting businesses, but it is an attitude to life. So talking to all of you, I think this was very evident that there's so much of energy, there's so much of joy, there's so much of hard work, and there is so much of difficulties that all of you have gone through, yet coming out successful and still striving for going towards that ray of hope at the end of the tunnel. So thanks everyone for being here, and thanks all 4 of you for contributing. Back to you, Raman, and that's it from here.
Yeah, thank you, Nikhil. Fantastic. We still have almost 40 people after extending the meeting for 20 minutes. It just shows a great job done, Nikhil and other stars. Back to President.
Yeah, so thanks, Raman, Nikhil, and the four participants, Jignesh, Ashish, Pradeep, and Jayant. It was a really wonderful session. Maybe, another 6 months we'll come back with version 2 and what you've learned since then. There's a lot of questions still unanswered, and I think people, so thank you everyone. I won't go through very formal motion. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Thank you very much.
Bye bye everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Very nice program indeed. Thank you, Raman.